Welcome, welcome to Center Heights Productions. Please hit the like and subscribe down below in your right-hand corner. Muchly would appreciate that. Share it with your friends and family as well. It helps the channel to grow as we've built an integral channel here, and we focus on Habs updates, and we're a little bit of a different channel in the sense that we've built a strong commitment to avoiding Rumorville because I don't like going down that road, and I don't buy channels that hype up a bunch of BS just to get a story and use clickbait. That's not my style. I like having integral information. So, with that being said, if you come across the channel, please subscribe and hit the likes. Leave your opinions as well. Okay, we're going to hit right into it. Brand new news today, which will be attached to this video, is we have the signing at 124. Joel Veleno was signed to the Habs for 900,000 one-way contract, which tells you kind of shows an indication that it looks like the Habs are leaning on going with Doc and Newhook. I think in that center position on the second line, it's kind of weighing that way when you look at this signing because I'm not I'm not a huge fan of this signing, just me, but it's only 1 year, one way, so see what happens with it, I suppose. But it blocks somebody like Kapanen, in my opinion, or makes between Veleno and Kapanen the two guys that you could be pulling in and out of the lineup, I suppose. So interesting there, but I don't. I think we all knew that they were probably going to do something, and he was spotted in the Habs building earlier a couple weeks back. So in that sense, it's not. You kind of knew they were looking at him, but I didn't think they. I thought they were moving away from that. I guess not. So here we go. Now we're going to get into the main course of this. Um, we're with our center heights projections of the lineups of the up and coming season as the roster stands right now. So line one, none unchanged: Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slav. Now that, as time goes on, don't be surprised if you see Demidov get a few shots on that line. I wouldn't be surprised as the season goes on that he gets a few looks in Slav's position and Slav's move to the second line periodically. But I wouldn't touch the first line. Just think they gel well. But anyway, now here's where it gets hairy and everybody has a different view on the second line. I'm going to tell you, it's very clear for the players here on in. Like, we know our top three are our top three. And we know Demidov is right there in that mix too. But after that, there's no doubt Bulldog is the best player we have, with the players onward. So he would be a perfect third line player on a team that's already solid and up to par and is a contender. But we're not there yet. We're not done our rebuild. So and yet he's got a high ceiling, so he could turn into a real second line winger. Sorry. We'll know because he's still got 22 years old. He's got a long ways to go. But in our system, because we have a weaker talent system in our four lines after the Suzuki lineup and Demidov, he's definitely the next guy in. So him and Demidov are sure second liners this season. No doubt. Nobody else on that roster comes close. Now, what I see after seeing this Veleno signing, this kind of indicates they're going to go. They're still not giving up on Doc. They'll probably give Doc the chance. If he's failing, you'll see Newhook jump in. So I think it's going to be a shared duty between Doc and Newhook as the center of the second line. I'm not crazy about either two of these players right now. And Doc, it's for the injuries. He just can't stay healthy and hasn't been up to par since those injuries. Newhook, I just think he's just a third line winger, and I think and I hear people say he's a good forechecker. No, he is not. Come on. He forechecked all right in the playoffs. His seasonal play doesn't do it for me. He's definitely a third line winger when the dust settles. But for now, they're going to use those two at center. Not crazy about it. I'd still like to see us go out and trade for a second line center. And for me, Mason McTavish would be the guy. Although I think that's a pipe dream. I don't think there's any way Anaheim gets rid of him. He's just too good, and I can't see him not being a part of their future. But again, when you listen to the insiders like Frank Suravelli, they indicate that he's not happy there. if it was possible to that he wanted out. If I'm the Habs, I'm all in because he would be the perfect second line center. This guy's phenomenal. That's my front runner easily. But I don't know. Just it's not looking too promising at this point that that's going to transpire. And I think it'd be a pipe dream because I think Anaheim would be making a mistake to let him go if I'm their management crew. So with that being said, that's what I see. That's why I don't count anybody coming in yet because I think that as the roster is, we're just going with that for now unless there's a trade or something that transpires. So the third line, I think, will consist of Anderson, Evans, and Galley because I think Evans is a much better center than Veleno. He doesn't have a great write up in that department. That's why he's moved to a few teams. I think this is a chance he'll be fourth line for sure, and he may share that duty with Kapanen. I feel bad for Kapanen because this he kind of gets in the way of that. But if Montreal's kind of always carried the extra forward. Maybe they'll rotate. So I see Veleno in between Blaze and Alane on the fourth line. That's my fourth line with Kapanen alternating. I'd rather see Kapanen in the lineup personally over Veleno. That's just me. And maybe that's how they'll go. But I see these two rotating. Then we get to the defense where it's a little more sure. I have Gooley and Dobson as the first pairing. Now that could rotate with the second pairing. That could go either way. I see Hudson and Matheson being the second pairing, and I see Jack Guy and Carrier. And I think Carrier will do a good job as a veteran, stabilizing the kids. Where Jack Guy still need and Struble both need assistance. I don't know. I still haven't heard anything on Struble's situation, but I think he should be the seventh defenseman with this lineup. And I do think Carrier with his experience, will be a good veteran to continue the work on with Jack Guy and Struble. And he's got the speed and he can cover very well. So I think he's a perfect guy for the third pairing. And I see Struble as the odd man out, the seventh, with the rotation between him and Jack Guy. That's how I see that. Again, I think there's players coming up, like who knows if Reinbacher cuts the lineup this year. If he cuts the lineup, then you may have to release Struble or send him to Laval or whatever. But I'd almost say that if Reinbacker's ready, you may have to put Struble in a package because I would not get rid of Jack Guy. I think Jack Guy's still working in progress, and he's a lot of what we need in size and bite. Um, that gives you Gooley, him and Gooley for sure, and Dobson with some good size. So, and if Reinbacher, when he does make, I just don't see him making it this season. That's just me. He could surprise us. But this is how I see the lineup as the roster is right now. Gooley, Dobson, Hudson, Matheson, Jack Carrier with Struble, the seventh man rotating. Then we go to our goaltenders, and I think it's pretty much, there's going to be competition. Don't get me wrong. So, Dobish is going to be pushed. But I do see Monty and Dobish being the one and two. And I do think Dobish is the perfect guy to push Monty. So I think this is going to be good. And I think that's how I project the up and coming seasons lineup. Now, Kakinen could sneak in there. Don't kid yourself. Good veteran goalie. But I do think they'd be better off with Monty and Dobish, and I think Dobish's ceiling is still higher. So and Monty will be on his toes because Dobish could push for that starting role at some point, but I still think he has some development to do. That being said, I think the Habs are an improved team. Here's my problem with where we are. Um, I like the improvements of Dobson and Bolduc. My problem is we lost so many players up front. I'm a little bit concerned with our penalty kill now. We've lost a few of our best penalty killers. Junio Armia, next to Evans, those two were just lights out, and Dvorak. But Armia was strong on the puck. You couldn't, he protected the puck well as killing special teams. And I think, people picked on him, but when he came back from being sent down to Laval, he was a different player. He played quite well. I think that's a huge loss for us. Um, I think that's what we haven't replaced. We managed to replace Heineman with Bolduc, who seems to be, as much as I loved Heineman, Bolduc seems to have a bit of a is a higher qual. Seems to be an upgrade from what they're saying, the critics. We'll see. I like what I've seen in some highlights. I just don't think we've got our replacement for Armia or Dvorak, and especially now that we've run into the wall with the second line center, that's where we could have used Dvorak. In yes, everybody wanted to move on from him, but where we didn't find that second line center, he would have filled in. But now that he's in Philly, I don't think he would have been worth 5.5. So they can have him at that. But for us, it kind of jams us. I'm fully 100% wanting that second line center, but I don't want them to make a mistake doing it. I think they got to stick to being cautious. And when the right offer comes, we hear rumors again, which I don't like to talk about, that there is rumor that they will trade off Carey Price's contract. Well, we'll see. If that's rumor again, I don't like to go with it. If it happens, it happens. But if it don't, it don't. I don't until it happens. I don't like to really focus on stuff that's a maybe. It would help, us maybe get to that second line center to have the money freed up for sure. But that's a difficult situation because we all love Carey Price. So that being said, that's where the Habs stand. That is, I wanted to give you Center Heist channels projected lineup, and that's where we stand, and it's different from a lot of others. I would have done it sooner, but I knew something, and in a way, today just kind of proves to me they were up to something. A little surprised they went ahead and signed Veleno because it looked like they had moved on, but I guess not. Where when you're just not finding that deal, but I think who knows what the up and coming weeks will bring because once teams get to look at their training camp and stuff, that's when you may see something give way. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do, like I say, like our improvements, but I think the loss of a few of our forwards, and like I said, we got Heineman replaced. Although I'm going to miss him, would have been nice to have him and Boldu. But I do think the loss of those two veterans is going to be impactful, especially Armia. He just did so much for the team, and like I said, with the situation of us not finding a second line center, there's a lot of good Dvorak did. So we may not, but he's not. To me, he's not worth 5.5. So that being said, you've seen it here where the puck drops first at Center Heist Productions. Thank you for following. Hit the subscribe and likes, and please tell me your thoughts and opinions of what you think the up and coming season and what's going to transpire. Again, we won't. I don't focus on what ifs as far as trades until they happen. Thank you for watching, and I don't use clickbait and hype up, just falsely hype up stuff just to get a view. All right, so thank you for joining. We shall catch you, and when the next episode comes, I'm sure there will be more breaking news here and there that happens. Let's hope, because my dream, which I think is a pipe dream, I'd love to have Mason McTavish. I would hope that Frank Sir release correct, and because that's the only way. Pat Verbeek would not get rid of him, in my opinion, management, unless he demanded a trade out. And if he did, then yes, I would hope that we'd be all over it because he'd be the answer. And he'd actually be the answer for the future as well. So thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next episode. God bless. Take care. Go Habs Go.